Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Checks and Balances TV. Today's program is entitled, Mother Nature Reminds Us to Take Cover with an Umbrella Policy. So let's see how today's news may impact your financial future. Mother Nature wreaked havoc throughout the U.S. this spring, from an historic number of tornadoes and near-record rainfall and floods to wildfires and drought. The damages are estimated to be in the billions. In the month of April alone, insured losses from these severe weather events could top more than $4 billion. Okay, so what's really going on here? Let's check the facts using our checks and balances process. In its monthly catastrophe report, the Aon Corporation stated that tornadoes, hail, and high winds in the Midwest, Plains, and Southern states produced hundreds of thousands of insurance claims, in addition to a record number of tornadoes within a 24-hour period in late April. Within just 10 days of the Alabama tornado outbreak of April 27th, more than $1 billion in insured claims had already been filed. Some of the hardest hit natural disaster areas in the month of April include Mapleton, Iowa, where more than 100 homes were damaged beyond repair by a tornado, displacing over 600 residents. And St. Louis, Missouri, where a tornado struck the airport and dozens of homes in the surrounding area. Over a 3-day period, this same violent storm system produced more than 300 tornadoes that ripped through the South, killing at least 326 people. And according to the National Weather Service, killer tornadoes struck Oklahoma, Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Virginia. However, it was the succession of tornadoes that hit Tuscaloosa, Alabama at the end of April that caused the most destruction. More than 200 people lost their lives, and more than 23,000 homes were damaged or completely destroyed. And unfortunately, a new round of destructive tornadoes have hit even more cities in the month of May. Most recently, Joplin, Missouri, where a large number of homes were destroyed and a local hospital was severely damaged. Okay, so maybe asking yourself, Matt, what does all of this really mean to me? Well, now that we've checked the facts, let's balance this news using our checks and balances process to determine what action you should take today. By the end of April, nearly 900 documented tornadoes have been recorded in 2011, and at least 300 of them hit the U.S. between April 25th and April 28th, making it the largest outbreak of tornadoes in history. While those who were affected endured a very traumatic experience, they're fortunate that the damage done to their homes and personal property are covered by insurance if they had a typical homeowner's insurance policy. However, while studies show that more than 9 out of 10 homeowners nationwide carry some type of homeowner's insurance, just over 6 in 10 actually carry enough insurance on their home. If those who were underinsured ever had to rebuild their home, they would only have enough insurance money to cover about 80% of the cost. For those who are underinsured or uninsured but reside in a state that's declared as a federal disaster area by the President, they can qualify to receive a maximum of just over $30,000 in federal assistance if they were impacted by the disaster. On the same day as the tornadoes hit Alabama, the state of Vermont was experiencing severe flooding. Flood damage to a home is something that is not covered by a typical homeowner's insurance policy. Neither are earthquakes, tsunamis, or hurricanes in most states. While flood insurance is required if you live in a flood zone and have a government-backed mortgage, the only place you can obtain flood insurance is through the federal government. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, administers the National Flood Insurance Plan, mainly because no other insurance company wants to underwrite the significant liability that flooding causes. Even though the average flood damage to a home can cost between $15,000 and $25,000, only about 17% of Vermonters living in a high-hazard flood zone have flood insurance. A Vermont official called it disaster amnesia and attributes the lack of proper insurance to the state's aging population. And once a mortgage is paid for, flood insurance, which can cost up to $2,500 a year, is dropped by most people, because it's no longer required by any lending institution. Okay, so what's the bottom line here? We all believe it's never going to happen to us, don't we? But natural disasters happen all the time. And the financial impact from just one such disaster can last for years and even quite possibly change your life forever. Having the proper insurance coverage is an important way to return to a normal life after a disaster strikes. Yet so many people do not make it a top priority to research and review their homeowner's policy in detail to ensure that they have the proper coverage and protection from any type of natural disaster their city and state may be prone to. If you haven't done so already, take out your homeowner's insurance policy and read each and every line. You may be surprised as to what is covered and what is not covered. In general, you will pay extra for insurance that covers damages from earthquakes, floods, volcanoes, land movement, or landslides, as well as a nuclear disaster. In addition, damages that typically are not covered by insurance at all include your standard wear and tear, damage due to animals or rodents, leaks, mold, mildew, dry rot, foundation settling, and cracking. Don't make the mistake of thinking that just because you have some kind of insurance that you're insured for anything and everything that could happen to you or your home. Last year, tornadoes and severe thunderstorms were the #1 cause of homeowner losses from natural disasters. Normally, it's hurricanes and tropical storms that cause the most damage and the most loss. So beware, hurricane season has only just begun. So make sure you have the proper coverage beginning today. This segment of CBTV is brought to you by American Equity Investment Life Insurance Company. And now for Matt's weekly financial tip, tool, or technique. Today's financial lesson is on the benefits of an umbrella insurance policy. Just as an umbrella protects you from getting soaked in a rainstorm, an umbrella policy protects you from taking a financial bath if someone sues you as a homeowner or automobile owner. So here are the 3 main benefits of an umbrella insurance policy. Benefit number 1, liability coverage. Let's say you hire a contractor to do some work around your house. And while they're working, the contractor falls down your stairs and then sues you for $500,000. If your homeowner's insurance policy only pays up to, let's say, $200,000, you'd be responsible for the other remaining $300,000. However, if you had an umbrella insurance policy in place, the remaining $300,000 would be covered and you would not be liable for this large amount of money. Benefit number 2 is litigation coverage. Going off of the previous example, let's assume that the lawsuit that the contractor and his company brought against you amounted to very high legal fees to defend yourself. If you didn't have an umbrella policy, not only would you be responsible for the additional $300,000 in damages to the contractor, but you'd have to potentially pay out tens of thousands of dollars in legal fees to defend yourself. However, if you had an umbrella insurance policy, your defense costs could be covered. And benefit number 3 is automobile accident liability coverage. An umbrella insurance policy is also an extremely useful form of additional coverage if you are ever involved in an automobile accident and then sued by the other party. Let's say that you're involved in a fender bender and the person you hit claims to have suffered whiplash. If they find a high-priced attorney who is convinced that you have a lot of assets, they might sue you for $1 or $2 million. Your auto policy normally only covers up to $100,000 per person per accident, making you liable for the rest. Umbrella policies, which provide an extra $1 to $5 million of additional coverage, are an extremely important form of liability insurance protection today. Claims above and beyond what your normal homeowners and auto insurance policy will cover can be extremely costly and can quickly deplete your financial nest egg. And remember this, it's not the frequency of claims, it's the severity of just one claim that can wipe out an entire estate. So whether you're in your working years or retired, an umbrella policy is definitely something that I highly recommend to protect both yourself and your assets. In this week's CBTV poll, we're asking Americans an important question. Do you have an umbrella policy? Log on to answer this poll at www.checksandbalances.tv. And while you're on the site, be sure to request our newest free report in our Truth About series, and it's on the truth about banks. You will learn the pros and cons of keeping too much money in the bank and the true risk of leaving your money in the bank over time. And finally, remember that only you can control your financial future. You can succeed. You just need confidence and determination. I'm Matthew J. Rettick from Checks and Balances TV. Until next week, dump debt, invest wisely, believe in yourself, and make it happen.